This is the sneaky table over here. They're trying to get the intelligence, the intel, if you will. If you guys haven't pursued careers in the CIA, that might be a good second move for you. That was funny to them. These guys, they didn't laugh at that at all. Don't know why. Okay. Those are excellent points, because what I wanted you to do through this exercise is start to think about what you know and how you might start to learn that. And a lot of you came to the very quick conclusion that sometimes we just need to ask. But the interesting thing about relationship building, and that's what this exercise is about, is if you're serving multiple customers, you have to figure out ways to do this at scale. How to do this for not just one of your customers, but do this for all of your customers. So now we're going to move into the second R. So we covered relationship. Now we're going to talk about responsiveness. How many of you wish that people in your company were more responsive? Anyone? There's a few willing to admit that. Responsiveness tends to be a problem. It often is a problem when we're dealing with our customers. So this is one of my absolute favorite examples that I share. So we've gone to Toronto. This time we are going to South Africa. And in South Africa, I want to talk to you about Santam Insurance. So Santam is an auto insurance provider in South Africa. Now, Santam had a classic problem because their customers were telling them, we want you to pay claims more quickly. But in South Africa, Santam understood that nearly 2.5 million in premiums, 2.5 million of the premiums that people paid for car insurance, they understood that that could be attributed to fraud. So we have a classic problem, right? Customers want us to pay claims more quickly. We know that fraud is a major problem. How do we eliminate fraud? Anyone? Or reduce fraud? When a claim comes through, what do we do to it? We scrutinize it more. We spend more time looking at it. Does that mean we're paying claims more quickly? No. Okay, so what does that do to our customers? Now, our customers are upset with us because we're not listening to them. We're not paying the claims more quickly. And what's happening to prices along the way? They're going up because we're scrutinizing things more. It's a downward spiral for any business. So Santam realized that there had to be a way to do both. So they brought in IBM, and they started organizing their claims into one of 5 categories. They built an intelligent system which could look at the claim when it came in, analyze it, and automatically put it into one of those 5 categories. The very first category were the low-risk claims. These claims, it was more expensive to scrutinize them than it was to pay them. So what did they do to these claims? They paid them. They paid them immediately, as quickly as possible, with no additional back and forth with the customer. The second tier were what they called digital claims. These claims required some form of digital evidence. They asked the customer to take a photo of it with their smartphone, send it in, and they had a team at the home office who would process those. The third kind, these were what they call mobile claims. These were the ones where someone had to get into one of these nice little Mini Coopers and go out and inspect the damage to the car, kind of this traditional insurance adjustment process that we're accustomed to whenever we have an accident. Now, the fourth and fifth types, these are the important ones. The fourth type, these were their high-risk claims. These were cases where there were particular laws involved, or they really needed to make sure they got it right, because it would be expensive if they messed it up. So they assigned these to a special internal team to take care of it. And then finally, the fifth type, These were their merit claims. These were the ones where they suspected there might be fraud. And so they had a specialized team who was trained in detecting fraud, handle those claims. Now, the vast majority of their claims, were they legitimate or were they fraudulent? What do you think? Legitimate, exactly. So the first three categories got claims processed more quickly. Categories 4 and 5 made it such that the highest risk claims received the appropriate scrutiny. So how did they do? Well, it turns out that they were able to reduce overall claims processing time by 90%. That's like moving from 10 days to process a claim to 1 day. 90% reduction. Okay, so I think that's pretty good for the customer. What do you think? Okay. And they were able to save $2.5 million in the first year in fraudulent payouts. That's how much fraud that they would have paid out, but their new system allowed them to detect. Okay, so let's apply our framework here. Is this better for the customer? Say yes. Is this better for the employees? Is it? I think so. Because the employees aren't going out for every claim. The employee's time is used more efficiently. That, of course, has a savings, but it also matters for employee satisfaction. So I'd say yes, it's better for the employee. And assuming we didn't pay $2.5 million to implement this system, which I don't know the cost of, would this be better for the bottom line? Yes. That's the win-win-win. Better for the customer, better for the employees, and better for the bottom line. Santam couldn't have done this without using technology, using data to analyze these claims. And so this is the type of thing I'd like for you to start thinking about in your companies. How can we leverage our data to do more? And so I have a few questions for you to work through at your table. The very first is, where are areas where your organization could be more responsive? That is, to be faster, to be more accurate, to anticipate your customers' needs. Just want you to jot down a quick list of those. And then in an ideal world, if it were like magic, how would you address those needs? So a great example of this is what we just talked about. Santam wanted to process claims more quickly. So in order to do that, they said, well, we need a better way to detect fraud. Okay, how can we do that? Well, it would be great if there were an automated system that could help us understand which team needed to deal with which claim. And that's exactly what they did. So think about your own business. Think about areas where you could be more responsive, and then think about, in an ideal world, how you might accomplish that. We'll take just a couple of minutes, have your wonderful conversations at your table, and then you know what's coming. I'm going to ask someone to share. So be thinking about if you are willing to step to the plate while you're doing that. Okay, take about 5 minutes. We'll come back together.